Okay, so 3.4. We're going to start off by solving these equations by factoring. This should be somewhat of a review for you, since we did this just, I think, about 2 weeks ago, where we have these two parentheses, and we know that x times x will get us this x squared. So we write x times x, and then we look at the factors of 6. What are our factors of 6? That last number. 1 and 6, 2 and 3. And then we look at, well, what gets us 5? It's positive 5. What gets us positive 5 between these two factors? 2 and 3. Okay, and then what's our middle symbol? Well, since it's both positive up here, positive, positive, we know that these are going to be positive. And then we break this down into two equations. X plus 2 equals 0, and x plus 3 equals 0. This one on the left, we subtract 2, we get x equals negative 2. This one on the right, we subtract 3, we get x equals negative 3. All right, try this one. Okay, parenthesis, 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 x times x, that'll give us our x squared. Find the factors of 16. We have 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. So, which of those gets us to negative 10? Well, 2 and 8. Okay, well, how do we get to a negative 10? We have to have two negatives. And then break this down, we'll get x equals 2 and x equals 8. This next one, try to solve it by factoring. Well, first you have to find the factors of 5. What are the factors of 5? 1 times 5. Okay, does 1 times 5, or 1 plus 5, get us 2? No, it does not. So, we cannot use factoring. Instead, we have to use what's called the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is, we have a little tune that goes with the quadratic formula. It's in the Pop Goes the Weasel tune. So, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This is the quadratic formula. We have to use this form to solve this equation. Each of these numbers represents a letter. Okay, in front of this x squared, there's like a 1. There's an imaginary 1. So a is equal to 1. B is equal to 2. And C is equal to 5. So we're just going to plug it into that formula. X equals negative b. Well, b is 2, so we have negative 2. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. So 2 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 5. All over 2a, which is 1. Okay, now we simplify. We have to simplify this equation. X equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root. 2 squared is 4. Then we have negative 4 times 1, which is 4, times 5, which is negative 20, all over 2. Okay, simplify this further. X equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root. 4 minus 20 is negative 16, all over 2. Okay, the square root of negative 16, we can simplify that. And we know that the square root of negative 16 is equal to 4i. Okay, now simplify it even further. Simplify it even further. We can take those fractions. Negative 2 over 2 is equal to negative 1 plus or minus 4i divided by 2 is just 2i. That's our final answer. This one. Again, we have A, we have B, and we have C. X equals negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 AC. Oop, almost messed up. 4AC, what is that? Let's see, 15? All over 2A. Okay, now simplify. Six squared is 36, minus 4 times 1, which is 4. 8 times 15, which is 60. All over 2. Okay, simplify this further. X equals negative 6 plus or minus the square root of negative 24 all over 2. Can we break down the square root of negative 24? Yeah. What's a perfect square that goes into 24? 4. 4 times 6 equals 24, and then we have that negative. What can we simplify? Well, square root of 4 is 2. Square root of negative 1 is I from the square root of 6. Okay, so our answer turns into x equals negative 6 plus or minus 2i square root of 6 all over 2. Okay, now simplify. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. That 2 in front of the I square root of 6 just turns into I square root of 6. Okay, one more. Sing the song if you have to. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, now simplify. X equals negative 6 plus or minus the square root. 6 squared is 36. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12 times 3 is 36. All over 6. So x is equal to negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 36. Well, that's going to be the square root of 0. Square root of 0 is 0. So I don't even have to write anything else. Just square root of negative 6 over 6. What does that equal? Negative 1. Okay? That's where I'll leave it today.